6. I don't know the countdown. I'll see if the thing flips over. All right, we are live. Well, hello everyone here at Retrothon 2021, and thank you for joining us for this awesome NES block. I'm happy to be part of it. This is Zoda Revenge, StarTropics 2. It is the sequel to StarTropics. And with me, have the world record holder for StarTropics 1 provide commentary, Bug Doctor.
Hello, everyone.
And
hope you're all doing well.
And I am second place in this run. I'm the console world record holder, I guess, for this game. It's been developed immensely in the past couple of months, so we're going to go ahead and get going because the intro is a little slow, so Bug Doctor can kind of give a history of how we're going to do it. And I might be a little quiet during the run because a lot of this gets pretty hectic. It's a pretty long run for an NES game, so 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, there's a lot of execution in this run, and there's a lot of precise stuff that can just... Unfortunately, the main tricks we use are also ones that can potentially kill us, so Tantalus will probably need some time to focus. But yeah, we're into StarTropics 2 here. This takes place very shortly after StarTropics 1. We were trying to figure out exactly when right before this, but basically Mike Jones is telepathically talking to a character we meet at the end of StarTropics 1, who is actually an alien. They're talking about how Dr. Jones' work on a cipher that they find in the first game. And she basically tells him, hey, you just got to reverse it. So Dr. Jones isn't terribly good at his job. But yeah, one of the things to kind of mention about this game is that, similar to StarTropics 1, all inputs can be buffered. So as Tantalus was going through all the text in that area, he's basically, as soon as the next text box shows up, he's letting go of A and then holding it down until the next one goes away. You can buffer all your inputs throughout the game. And then, Mike reads some funky words and gets sent back into the Stone Age. So this is Chapter 2. It's very easy to do Chapter 1 frame perfect, luckily, because it's literally all text. So yeah, I'm just going to let Tantalus focus here. He's going over this snow field, which has some pits that you can fall in for dungeons, but luckily there's a path so we don't have to run into any dungeons there. They seem like they're random encounters, but they're not. And here we're going to encounter Tink, who give us our very first weapon, this lovely axe. You don't use a yo-yo in this game. Instead, you just huck axes and daggers and swords at things, which is kind of funny, actually.
Whatever you can find. You can find it, you can throw it. Since you don't have a weapon, exactly. if you fall into the dungeons in the snowfield, you have to find rocks in the dungeons to clear the enemies. And that's not a joke. You literally have to find rock items.
Yeah, you pick up rocks and throw it at wildlife. And, who doesn't love doing that? So Tantalus is in the first dungeon here, and he's going to do something very shortly called a void walk. And so I'm going to mostly let him focus once he gets to that moment. And a void walk is, I'll explain a little bit after, but it's one of the tricks that will be used throughout the game to kind of save a lot of time. So just set up here. And there we go. And so basically what he's doing is he's doing a precise set of inputs beforehand, plus some pause buffering. Oh, man, that bear. Those bears have a longer range than they look like they do. Void walks basically set it up so that you take damage from an enemy at the same time as landing on a water or a pit tile, so that you can just kind of do an extra jump off of it. And taking some extra damage here. Hopefully these bears don't get too close. That's pretty close. Good stuff. And one thing that has been mentioned I see in chat is the diagonal movement. Mike has learned to walk in not just the cardinal directions since StarTropics 1. Movement is a lot more free in this game, and it makes people kind of like it a lot more than the first one. It's kind of interesting. Both games are very similar but different in that respect, where same structure, but the gameplay is actually quite different. So we're going through those rooms there have these kind of symbols. You learn those symbols on the wall in that cave that we saw earlier, but we didn't bother to go and check them because we memorized them. And we're into the first boss here, Yum Yum, who literally is just going to sit there and let us attack him because he is so preoccupied with eating that poor wild boar. So Tantalus is going to buffer all these attacks and kill Yum Yum without him even getting a shot at it.
And it's actually important to do the buffering because, like, if you sat there with the turbo controller and held B, it would actually be slower than buffering the attack. So it's key to buffer it. That is in both StarTropics games as well.
Yeah, it's more of a timing than a mash. That's a huge important thing to learn. Tantalus is going to do a trick here to try and... Oh, I missed it.
Nope.
There's a way to basically not have this conversation with these children, which since Mike is an awkward teenager, I'm sure he doesn't want to do anyway. But we missed it this time. That's all right. It only saves a couple seconds. So it's not a huge deal.
Yeah, it's a frame perfect trick, and I just I couldn't get the time, and there's no setup for it, so I just mashed the select button basically between the tiles and hope I get it right, and I get about 50% of the time, so it's only 2 seconds saved if I get it.
Yeah. And then so that's basically the first chapter down. And something that's important to note here is at the end of every chapter you get a health refill, and so it's super important for the player to have as much health as possible at the end of the chapter so that there's less of a refill time. Because basically for every single heart that is refilled, you're losing an extra second. So we're going to wait a little bit here. As you can see, the heart's filling up. But yeah, that's key to having good chapter times in this game.
Yeah, that's why getting hit by those bears is pretty catastrophic. Not just because it puts me in range of death, but it also every heart is 1 extra second of health refill at the end of each level. Or at the end of each chapter. So you lose if you have 20 hearts and you need to refill them. And you're at 1, you just lost 19 seconds. So
yeah, exactly. But with that, we're on to chapter 3. So we've traveled over to lovely Egypt here, the Nile River, and we're going to go and meet Cleopatra here in a moment. Something interesting to note here is you can actually get a weapon upgrade with a secret at the right side of this. You can walk through that cliff face. But we're not actually going to snag it because it costs too much time and it doesn't do enough damage to make up for the time it costs to get it.
And you get it.
And you get it after the first dungeon in this chapter anyway. Something else that's interesting to notice in this game is that it doesn't make you talk to as many people. This ship is kind of an exception. You have to talk to a fair number of them. But in StarTropics 1, you have to talk to a lot of people in villages to progress, but that's not so in this game. There's a lot of towns and overworld segments where you can just talk to one person or even nobody and just continue through the game, which is really nice. So we're going to head into the first dungeon of Chapter 3. Chapter 3 first.
The longest chapter of the game, somehow.
Yeah, similar to StarTropics 1. So it's going to kill a couple spiders, open up the next path, and there's going to be this Cyclops enemy. It takes 8 hits, and they act very similar to the bears. And something that Tantalus did to save time there was just do like a jump attack towards the end so that you gain a little bit of ground as you're throwing the last attack to save a couple frames. Just going to safely take out that spider because they can get in the way really easily. These enemies, they can roll around so you can't hit them. They're invincible when they're rolling, but you can generally stay out of the way, but leave you alone. This room's always kind of freaky because you've got 3 giant muscly Cyclops dudes just swinging blades at you. Pretty startling. And these pink scorpions here are not too bad, but there are some more annoying versions of them later on that we're going to see in Chapter 5. So, Yeah, I'm going to kill a couple more of these rolling enemies, and then Tantalus is going to do a trick in here called a corner jump. So I'll let focus. There we go. Basically, when you jump over, you can, if you push up towards a corner, it can basically push you an extra number of pixels over, so that you can actually make a two pit jump. Normally, you can only jump over one single pit tile, but the corner jump lets you make it two, and there's two of those in the game that we're going to see. So that was good. Like the first boss, the Scorpion. Something interesting to note is that the Scorpion only shoots those projectiles when you actually kill its babies. Very protective of her young. But yeah, that was pretty smooth. That's pretty smooth dungeon overall, actually. Full health, so nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, full health was good. It wasn't the fastest, but it was. Full health is very rare. I normally take at least one hit somewhere along the way.
Yeah, usually a Scorpion, like in that the room with the corner jump or something like that, but that's good. So yes, Cleopatra sent us here to get pizza. That's the important key item in this chapter, is a lovely pizza that she's ordered, and she told us to hold the anchovies even though she's the one that placed the order, so I don't know what the heck she's thinking.
So I'll talk about what we're going to do next, since there's a lull, some dialogue here. We're going to give Cleopatra a pizza. She'll give us a ride across the Nile, and there's a pyramid we have to clear where the Tetrad is, but to get it, we can't get past a force field, so we're actually just going to go right up to the jungle, and there's going to be a monkey who will give us a magic item. There's some mini dungeons we need to clear, and what we're going to do is we're going to make one attempt at a wrong warp to exit one of the mini dungeons early. It requires the same method as that we did in Chapter 2, called a Void Walk, but we have to do two of them. And it also requires some cooperative RNG from the enemies. So I'm going to take one shot at it. It's important that I only take one shot at it because the pyramid and the mini dungeons in the jungle, the lives counts carry over. So if I lose a life there, it counts to the pyramid. Game overing in the pyramid's very devastating, so we do not want that to happen. So I'm going to take one shot at it. We'll see if the duck cooperates. If not, then no big deal. If I die on it, no big deal. It's a very hard trick to execute. It's frame and pixel perfect. There is a setup for it, but it's a little tough to do on the controller. And my controller has been wigging out a little bit, so if I press up or down even one pixel, I will mess it up. So I have to be very cautious doing this here.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're going to head up to the jungle, as Tantalus mentioned a little bit ago, and we're going to see the monkey that he was talking about, taunting you in the grass. And this is basically a big hedge maze that you need to normally stand on those platforms to see the path through. But since we're speedrunners, we definitely know this entire path off by memorization. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. No wall bumps here whatsoever, I swear. And we'll let Tantalus focus on this wrong warp, see if he gets it. Oh, duck. Okay, so the duck misbehaved. That's the one time that the duck has misbehaved in like a week. So the wrong warp is not going to happen. But hey, that's all right. At least we know we're going to have a full complement of lives, and we're going to be in good shape for health. So yeah, I'm going to kill these jellyfish to kind of clear the path here, and then we're just out of this short little dungeon. These are kind of like, as Tantalus mentioned, they're mini dungeons here. Yeah, and then
that was a controller we got, where I went up left.
Oh yeah.
That was just acting up there.
Yeah, Tantalus' controller is basically the left has been kind of giving also up and down inputs randomly, so that's kind of unfortunate. There's no wrong warp for this dungeon, so we're just going to play it. It's just usually involves just killing enemies to get through to reveal the path forward and everything like that. Usually involves killing alligators. I guess they just did not like alligators or something. But yeah. Yeah, the wrong warp that he was going to trigger would potentially save up to 8 seconds, and just the other day, actually, Tantalus randomly caused the wrong warp to happen even earlier, which we're going to attribute to cosmic rays, similar to famous minus 64.
We have a fellow, Fulco, who will dissect every piece of data in the game as best he can. He's the one who figured out almost every strat that we've used for these wrong warp skips and that kind of thing. He could not replicate it. I wrong worked out early, and he could not replicate it. So, as far as we're concerned, it was a cosmic ray. We're gonna toss that one up to the same thing. I didn't hotplate the console. I promise. I don't know, but
I don't know. I see hotplate in the background there. But yeah, so then this is the last.
Bug Doctor.
But yeah, so that's the last of the maze, and then we're going to talk to this. Finally, caught up to the monkey. Is going to give us the psychic shockwave, which is a weapon that's going to upgrade throughout the game, and it's going to basically increase in power as long as we have more hearts, which is kind of similar to how the base weapons work in StarTropics 1.
I'll tell you, this is the first time in my life I've not had taken damage this far in the level.
Yeah, this has been
I've never not taken damage by now.
So yeah, the shockwave lets us kill that force field there. Well, bring down the force field. I guess you can't kill the force field, but you know. This room coming up, just down this, or I guess up this set of stairs here, there's a setup to kind of get through here by triggering this that flame at the right less often, so that doesn't. Oh, that was close. So that doesn't hit you. Oh, there we go. Unfortunately, Tantalus' controller had a little bit of an issue there, but normally you can get past there without that flame coming back up again. Those zombies can only be killed with the psychic shockwave, so we're going to switch to that whenever we see them. And those rising platforms, you can kind of push towards the edge of them and be okay, which is good, but they are still kind of sketchy. No fear, fighting that hieroglyphic-looking guy.
And yeah, that was another controller snafu. So
We know.
call.
Yeah, these cobras are much more annoying than in StarTropics 1 because they literally just move around randomly, and they can be a real pain. These skeleton enemies are a lot like the blood skeletons in Castlevania, where they can't be killed, just knocked down for a while. You can hit them with any weapon, but the psychic shockwave is a little bit faster, so yeah. And it has a little bit more range than the dagger as well. Oh yeah, and as you can see, we got our weapon upgrade I was talking about earlier. We don't have the axe anymore, we have the bronze dagger. Oh no, I was thinking of the wrong room. One room early. Nice, good dodge. This room up here has these conveyor belts that push you along the arrow in the direction that the arrow's facing, and you can just walk straight off them, and they will just push you into spikes. So you kind of have to be really careful around them, but no problem here. These skullbug enemies will basically dash towards you if they see you on their same kind of level. You can lure them over to kill them in a more convenient location. And we're kind of in a little loop of rooms here. We're going to see this snake-shaped room, and I'm going to tell you right now, when we come back to this snake room, there is a photosensitivity warning, so please just keep that in mind in case you have photosensitivity issues. We're basically going to go around and get an item called the flute, which is only in this stage. We're going to get it from this room down here. Hopefully we're not going to get hit by these mummy children. Normally they take at least one chunk out of you, but they cooperate really well. Yeah, photosensitivity warning in this room right now. And Tantalus is a real charmer, by which I mean, of course, a snake charmer. The flute brings these snakes out of the wall and allows us to kill them to then reveal secret passage and progress. And coming up, we've got the boss just in the next room here. Some careful platforming. Nothing wrong with that. It's not enough damage to really matter. So we're going to fight the monster mask here, and hopefully this is going to get a good pattern. It fires kind of spread shot projectiles and can also flip its face around, which it didn't do, and fire this extremely quick like photon cannon, which does a ton of damage. But boss cooperated a lot, and we got a really good. That was a really smooth pyramid, man. Good stuff.
That was one controller snafu and one mini mummy away from no damage. Chapter 3. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was awesome. So yeah, here we get the second tetrad. That's what we've been collecting in these different time periods. They certainly don't look like blocks from any other type of game that I can think of, anyway. And yeah, since Tantalus had minimal health loss in that chapter, the refill on hearts there was really, really quick. So yeah, so we're heading off to London, chapter 4. Really, really good chapter 3. That's awesome.
Yeah, wish I could have got the wrong word, but I don't get it most of the time in my world record PB attempts. So
yeah.
I was just hoping that I could get it. We still have some other things that we could show off, so it's all right.
Yeah, and of course, the duck would act up on literally the marathon run. Of course, that would happen.
Yeah, it was fine all day, and then
and he's like, "No, man."
It's like a 75% chance that the duck cooperates. So there's it's common, and once in a while he just shoots at you.
Yeah. So we talked to Sherlock Holmes, who we here in London, and he said, "Oh, we're going to go pet the dog. Good dog." And then, he's basically telling us that there's a tetrad at the museum here, and he has figured out that the notorious Zoda is going to come snatched away. So he's enlisted Mike's help in tracking Zoda down. So we're going to talk to the cops.
Wow.
We're going to say, hey, you're going to the museum a little late, so go to jail.
The constable didn't move.
That's really rare. Smooth play. It's kind of stood there. But yeah, just a quick overworld segment, and then we will go to the museum. That person is just a sleepwalker. They are not a zombie, which is, I'm sure, what they intended people to think. Oh, look, it's Sherlock Holmes. Yes.
There he is. Sherlock Holmes in the flesh.
So here's Zoda saying, I've got the tetrad. Come and get me, Mike. And they're calling him Zoda X. We're going to see a number of forms of Zoda throughout the game. Zoda X is the first one. So,
and he's supposed to represent the Zoda from the first game, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you didn't really kill him in the first game. He came back.
Yeah, somehow.
Time travel does things to people.
That is true. These rafts are not... They're very sketchy. Basically, you can just walk right off them at any point. That was a very close jump. Okay, that was the second corner jump, which I kind of had to be quiet there for a moment, and Tantalus got it, which is awesome. But yeah, those rafts, you got to be super careful around. Basically, don't go anywhere near the edges on them because they just the edge is very hard to distinguish, and you can literally just walk off with the wrong input. But yeah, gonna kill a couple enemies here to progress, but this is honestly a pretty short dungeon. And again, these conveyors, we can just walk off them, so just kind of playing it safe there. These owls are on the top. They're kind of like above the ground, so you actually have to be above ground to hit them. So you have to either jump or stand on the platform. We're going to fight this ball of Zoda spawn that Zoda has summoned in the sewers. And you just have to hit that switch underneath it to open the door, but we can't actually just land on it and do that because it's a one-hit kill. It's one of the few bosses that's actually a one-hit kill in this game. Just to stop you from exploiting that.
Yeah, unlike StarTropics 1, almost every boss in StarTropics 1 is instant death. This game, almost every boss isn't instant death except that one. And this game is a very, very, very short invulnerability frame window. So you can get blown away pretty quickly, and that's one of the you would in StarTropics 1 you could have exploited that and just jumped off the boss. Not in this case.
Yeah, exactly. Iframes are notoriously low in this game. Tantalus picked up an item there called the Spiked Disc. It's one of the most powerful sub-weapons in the game. Actually, I think it's the most powerful one, with the three-way shot being the only contender. And it also travels really far, so we're going to be using it a lot in this dungeon, because it's really, really good. I always underestimated it as a kid. I honestly never used to use this weapon. And then there are these long kind of sewer areas where you just have to wait for the rafts to basically get over to you. There's nothing you can do to really speed it up, so we're going to be waiting a lot for those. These flying shrimp enemies, I call them, take only a couple hits with the disc. And those jellies, they can be annoying if they get out of hand, but luckily the disc kills them really quick. But if they get away from you, then they can sometimes be a pain to hit. You can use the disc to clear out these rats really quick. Doing a really good job of avoiding damage. We're gonna... that one shot almost got you. We've got this other long room with the rafts. And again, that Tantalus is going to be careful around the edges of these things because... like I mentioned before, you can literally just walk off of them.
Yeah, it's not like a regular platform where you walk on the edge and it keeps you on it. You can just walk in the water.
Yeah, it is nasty.
You want to cover the sign? Skip the sign.
There were a couple signs that we saw, like little items on the ground. They're called Try Your Luck signs, and basically you pick them up to gain extra lives. In StarTropics 1, they could actually subtract one life, but they were a little bit more generous in this game, and they removed that quote-unquote feature, so you can only gain lives from them in this game. We will not be picking up any Try Your Luck signs. And now we're into the boss of this chapter, Zoda X. And with any luck, Tantalus will be able to one-cycle him, as long as he behaves properly. That should be good. Just one-cycle him with the spiked disc here. Good stuff. Zoda can do a number of different attacks. The one where he summons the flames like that is the longest one, and it lets you basically just one-cycle him by jumping in place and using the spiked disc on him. So, excellent job. Very, very, very solid run so far. This is awesome. No health lost, so this is literally the best possible refill time on this tetrad as well. So, good stuff. And then, what was I going to say? I feel like there's something else I was going to say about Zoda. Oh yeah, he can appear in different areas. So basically, he'll vanish if you don't kill him and go somewhere else in the room. And it's kind of interesting. He doesn't just appear in areas. He actually is invisible and flies around the room, and then will appear like along those paths. So you can kind of figure out where he's going to appear at the start based on, I think, just by timing, right, Tantalus?
He either goes in one or two places, so because you know he's moving, if he doesn't show up in the bottom center, you know that he's going to be on the bottom left, because it takes him longer to get there, because he starts somewhere else in the room. So that's how you know where he's going to be. Yeah,
he basically acts like, I'm pretty sure he's like the DVD logo.
He is.
Exactly.
DVD burn-in screen, right?
Yeah, exactly. On to Chapter 5, the Wild West. Again, thankfully, we only have to talk to literally 2 characters in this town, rather than the entire thing, or rather than the entire population, because if we did have to do that, this town would take a while to get through. And we're basically going to pick up some dynamite in this area to help progress. And normally you use a thing called the cactus dance to figure out where to blow a hole in the wall, but we don't need to listen to the cactus dance, thankfully.
Yeah, this isn't like StarTropics 1, where Chapter 5 of StarTropics 1, even if you know the piano key code, you can't beat it because the game hasn't told you it. This time, you know where it is, you can just proceed.
Yeah, exactly. So, as a teenager, we have walked into the store and bought a load of dynamite, no problems. Actually, I don't even think we bought it. I think he just gave us explosives. And we're going to blow a hole in the wall just underneath this trail of gold here. And that's going to put us into the first dungeon of Chapter 5. And Chapter 5 has some nasty dungeons that can be extremely punishing. So
especially the second
hopefully
one.
it goes smoothly.
This one's really
5-2.
short, but there's a boss skip we're gonna try to do. We'll make one attempt at it.
Yeah.
So it's I'll let Bug Doctor explain it.
Yeah. So basically, Tantalus is going to, for the boss of this dungeon, he's going to try and set up a void walk to basically take damage from it at the same time as being on a pit, and then just jump to the exit of the room. So I'll let Tantalus focus when he gets there. We just have to go through a few rooms of enemies here. These purple scorpions are really nasty in that they shoot 2 projectiles. Bad position. And they can hit you from a different level of like a different depth, like a height on the room as well, which is really annoying. And they shoot quite fast. So the setup is here. I'll just let Tantalus focus. These cactus dudes are not behaving properly. We're just going to ignore it. Screw it. But yeah, basically you would set up a void walk. You have to set up a damage frame in the room beforehand, but the cactus guys were just not behaving, and they were going to cause too much damage. So we're just going to say meh and be on our way. Just kill them. But yeah, normally you would jump down to that little exit at the bottom left corner. And it seems it's like 10 seconds, I think. Is that right?
It's like 13 seconds, but then you lose the health because it takes, I think, 2.5 hearts. And I didn't, because I got hit by the cactuses there, I did not want to, and because I got hit by the cobra too. So
yeah, exactly.
This level upcoming, if I'm low on health, it can turn into a complete disaster area. So I didn't want to risk it, especially in a marathon.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So we just got an upgrade to our Psychic Shockwave. It is now the Super Psychic Shockwave, which gives a little bit extra damage and range, which we're going to use to kill those scorpions because they are jerks, like I mentioned. We're going to snag a safety medicine here, which will basically refill us 5 hearts whenever we pause the game and choose to use it. So it's very good. This dungeon has a lot of sketchy rooms, and you can take a lot of damage from cactuses are just cactus guys want you dead.
Wretched ghouls.
What a bunch of pricks. But yeah, so the Super Psychic Shockwave will help us make quick kill those speed coins really quickly. And then we're gonna get an item in this long room of the boulders called a Big Star, and I bet you can't imagine what a Big Star does in a Nintendo game. You guessed makes you invincible, you're darn right. We're going to use that for the boss later on. We're about to fight a horrible mid-boss, the minecart, which throws out these golden, I think they're called golden children, and you just have to, this thing is awful. This is a terrible, terrible mid-boss. Fulco calls this the worst room in the game. And I am inclined to agree. It's one of the worst things. But luckily the medicine got us through there with a good amount of health. So we should be in good shape.
There's nothing worse. I'll try to go for the skips on the bosses and pawn skip before I fight that boss. I hate it. Yeah.
And it's completely random. If it goes out the right side of the screen, it can still come out the left. You have no way of predicting what it's going to do. So you just have to hope.
Or when it's going to shoot.
Yeah, exactly.
It throws the golden children at you when it sees you, but the rest is completely unpredictable.
So we're going to fight the Mashing Miner here, and we're going to use this lovely Big Star to just kind of destroy him without taking any damage. He is very random. He jumps all over the place. These rocks that he has spawned also eat shots and do damage to you. He is honestly a horrible pain if you're fighting him like casually and you don't have a big starter. But luckily we wasted him pretty quick.
Yeah, if you were like, oh, why didn't you just use the star on the minecart? Because that boss is just as bad as the minecart. So those rocks block your shot, and then you have to jump over them to shoot him, and it also can turn into a complete disaster. So you made it out of there at full health. That's pretty good. But there is another star in the dungeon, but it takes way too long to get it. So you have to kind of pick your battle there. The minecart's the lesser of two evils, I would say.
Yeah. But yeah, good health pretty much after like at the end of every dungeon here, which is awesome. Minimizing that refill time. Oh yeah, and there is another big star before the boss, luckily. So if you did use the first one, then you can get a spare one beforehand. But yeah. So we're on to chapter 6, which takes place in Italy. And we're gonna go and visit the house of one of the Ninja Turtles, specifically Leonardo. And again, this is one of those areas where you can just progress through, and you don't have to talk to a single person, honestly, in this town. You just get to the next progression area, and you can go ahead. Hey, that guy didn't block you. That's nice. That's so rare.
Yeah, we got the constable didn't move. He walked over, and I'm pretty sure the elders stayed put in chapter 5. So they're like perfect villager RNG. Saved the whole 3 seconds.
Yeah. So there's somebody in this plaster, and that is Leonardo. We're going to do a void walk here. Right there, by hitting that ball at the same time as landing on the void tile. So that worked out really well. And something that I'm sure that you didn't know about Leonardo, he is a famed painter, but he's also a ball aficionado. He's got all sorts of balls in his basement. He's got balls that spin in circles. He's got balls with spikes on them. He's got balls that are attached to machines that slam them into the ground. And it's a very strange basement that Leonardo da Vinci has. And it's just, something that history kind of just shunted under the rug. So we're going to do some platforming here. These wooden platforms are the same as the rafts, so you have to be careful with them. And we're getting these ballrooms here. And the goal of these rooms is to basically make the balls roll into those black holes there. Similar to pool, but much more dangerous and annoying. But luckily Tantalus has a good method for getting them set up. Hey, no problem. And then that's the first dungeon of chapter 6. It's honestly extremely short, but it can be frustrating to learn those ballrooms in the run. Yeah, they are definitely annoying. So we get a hammer and a chisel here, which will help us get Leonardo out of the plaster that he's in.
We're gonna bust up his face doing it too.
Couldn't use a dagger doing it or anything like that. Or psychic shockwave wouldn't do it. I gotta go just get a hammer and chisel. He's like, "Oh, be careful! You're gonna hurt me." But yeah, pretty good little dungeon there.
Yeah, there's one thing I could have gone a little bit better with the balls, but the one ball went to the right instead of the left, so I had to do the backup strat, which is fine. It's not that much slower. It's like 3 seconds.
Yeah. So Leonardo da Vinci here is going to give us a katana, which definitely is not a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reference. And that's our final upgrade for our main weapon. It's the most powerful of our primary weapons that you can get through the game. So that's awesome. And he also gets a flying machine.
This wasn't really covered all that much, but the Psychic Shockwave works a lot like the default weapon in StarTropics 1. Your health determines whether you can use it or not. I haven't really been below 5 health all that much, so I've had the Super Psychic Shockwave the entire time. But if I go below 5 health, it switches back to the Psychic Shockwave, and then there's an upgrade you get later that you need the full 10 row of hearts. Which is
exactly.
Another small detail, StarTropics 1 actually has 2 rows of 11 hearts in it, but they fixed that in this game. It's back down to 10 and 10.
Yeah. Here, have less iframes and less hearts, guys.
Yes.
Thanks. So we're in this little maze here, and again, this is similar to Chapter 2 in that there are some pits that you can fall in, but Tantalus is going to walk in a specific path to just completely avoid them. But that being said, there are 2 that we have to fall in to progress. One of them is coming up here, and it's completely random what dungeon you get, and we're just going to hope that's not the bad one. There's a 3 in 4 chance that it's not bad dungeon.
That's a good one.
So we'll see that. Oh yeah, we're good. But yeah, and the bad one just takes a little extra time. It's just kind of an awkward dungeon to do.
Yeah, they're all single room mini dungeons, but there's one that's much longer than the others.
Again, just avoiding some pits here in this small room, and then there's another mandatory little dungeon here where you have to take the exit that's straight above, and then that will basically finish off Chapter 6. These skulls will kind of rotate, and if they see you, they'll fire that spread shot of bones, but luckily they didn't really shoot that much in that room. Normally they shoot a lot more there.
They didn't see me. It's weird.
Yeah, it just happened to work out. Avoiding some last pits here, and then there's the tetrad for this chapter. It's honestly a really quick chapter. Like if you know what to do, it really does not take long to get through at all. So yeah, got five tetrads out of 7. So we're making some
we
good
didn't
progress.
do the flash.
Yeah, I forgot
There's
about
more of that, by the way. So light photosensitivity, turn away.
Photosensitivity here. Totally forgot. My apologies.
I wasn't thinking about it either.
We just forget about it because we play it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Zoda here has basically sent us through time and space, which the book was going to do anyway, but you know what. And he is going to send us to Transylvania in Chapter 7, which is my favorite dungeon in the game, I think. It's close. It's close between this and Chapter 9, but I do really love the dungeon in Chapter 7. And it's basically just, there's not really much overworld at all. It's literally just a really cool dungeon.
Haunted house.
A tough one, yeah. Haunted house, big scary mansion, lots of spooky ghosts. But yeah. So the first enemy that Tantalus is going to run into is these Frankenstein monsters, and you attack them once and they split, and then you have to kill the pants. But the pants run around extremely quick, so sometimes they can get away. But it looks like they're just going to completely behave, so that's awesome. We're going to head up to the top right here, and there are going to be ghosts that appear in this room, and you only have to kill the pink one to kill them all. And it takes 6 hits. So just like that, and you go through the door that appears, kill some zombies, and then we're going to encounter an enemy in the next room called Gravestone Ghost, and it basically it functions similar to a dark net, where you have to hit it in the back or from the side. You basically have to hit the actual gravestone. It takes 6 hits, but it goes pretty smooth. And we're going to pick up an item here called the 3-way shot, which is a really powerful and useful weapon. Good for clearing up bats, which you'll see here in a moment. And are we doing a void walk here?
I'm gonna try.
Okay, we're going to try a void walk in this area. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, basically set up a damage frame by attacking the zombie and pausing, and then jumping over and taking damage as we land. So that's awesome. Good stuff. Yeah, the 3-way shot really helps with clearing up the bats. Bats in this game are pretty brutal compared to the ones in StarTropics 1, which are a joke. These ones are much more annoying. They do a lot more damage. This lizard, if you hit the bubbles that it makes, they launch at you, just like that. They're pretty annoying enemies actually, but luckily they only deal with I think we just deal with one. Again, using the three-way shot to kill these bats. And these enemies are really annoying. They take a lot of hits to kill, and they have those explosives that also block shots. So sometimes you'll be shooting them and you won't actually be hitting anything because the explosion is just canceling all your projectiles. Now we're into the boss here. This is Zoda Y, the next form of Zoda. It seems like a pretty straightforward fight at first. You just kind of shoot some projectiles and bats.
Really?
And oh man, I thought that was definitely going to be a 2-cycle. And the goal is to kill him before, I think you can only 2-cycle in there at minimum. But then he transforms into this weird bird critter. I don't really know. And tries to blow you back into spikes there. Luckily, you can just kind of jump with the right timing. You can jump in place and avoid the feathers that he shoots at you. And there you go. That's Zoda Y.
And by hitting him repeatedly, and this is why the Super Shockwave is important here, you keep him in that stun animation. So he slows down his animation and keeps him there longer so he doesn't run away from you. So it actually works itself out.
Good dungeon. Full health again. It's just going to be the thing. So we get a Tetrad there. And then we're heading into Chapter 8. Chapter 8 is pretty lengthy, has some very challenging dungeons. But we're closing in on the end of the game here. There's 9 chapters in this as compared to StarTropics 1, which has 8 chapters, but the first chapter of this game is only in text, so it doesn't really count. Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. This is a smooth run so far.
We'll try to keep it that way. Chapter 9 now opens up a can of worms, though, so we'll see.
Yes. We're in basically Camelot in Chapter 8. And once again, we're just not going to really talk to anyone. We're just going to go straight for progression. So we're going to make our way up to this castle, where we'll find King Arthur, who apparently will just knight anyone who walks into his throne room. So we're going to get knighted. And it's actually also going to give us 1 extra heart to work with, which isn't really a huge deal, but take all the health you can get, right?
It is really odd that they give you the health increase at the end of 7, and then Arthur gives you another heart.
Yeah, it's weird.
But
it's like
one of the things that I like about this, and one of the reasons I love to play this chapter as a kid, was because if you play the game in review mode to review a specific chapter, the game will start you with 5 hearts, not at full health. But King Arthur refills your health regardless, so you get a fair shake at it.
For sure.
Either way.
So Chapter 8 has 2 dungeons. The first one is quite short, and the second one's pretty long. So we're basically going to kill a bunch of enemies and then make sure we're at specific points of the room, because it's going to cause a basically quicksand or a pit to open up and then drop us into the next area. And you need to land at specific parts to make sure you're on the platform so you can progress. When you kill this enemy over these skulls here, you get a good pattern. And again, I'm just going to land on that platform. These Silver Knights, they fire like a spread shot of those crosses. But they're generally not too much of an issue on their own, but there are some harder versions later that are much more annoying, which we'll see in 8.2 here. I'm going to use these conveyors for advantage and just go as fast as possible. You can, if you're at full health, it's worth it to kind of go through one knife, but since we're not full health, we're just going to ignore that. We're going to fight an enemy here called Knight Rider, who is incredibly annoying to fight, but you can kind of set it up so that you move along with him and do damage as he's moving across the room. That wasn't too bad. But he literally just moves back and forth and fires lasers, and he's just annoying. The lasers don't even do much damage. It's just a chaos boss. I want to say.
He's the time sink. He's the slow rundown boss.
Yeah. But handle it really well there. And now we're going to talk to Merlin, who is going to reveal himself as all the animals that we've encountered throughout the game. And say, hey, I'm going to power up your psychic shockwave a little bit more, so you can go and kick Zoda's butt. He's basically a friend of Hirocon, who's the father of the Argonians, one of the Argonians, who we saved at the end of StarTropics 2, and he's going to help us defeat Zoda here. So, so now you have the Ultra Psychic Shockwave, which is the best weapon for DPS in the game. So we're going to try and keep our health up in order to maintain the Ultra Psychic Shockwave as much as possible. It fires across the entire room and does more damage than the Super Psychic Shockwave. I thought that was going to get you. It's very, very good weapon. There's no reason to use anything else. That's for the most part. These large blobs split into 3 smaller ones, and these smaller ones move faster than the ones we saw earlier, so they can be a pain if they get out of hand. Luckily, those Zodasaurs are pretty slow, but they do take a lot of damage. If they hit you with that shot, they do a ton of health. But you can just jump over the projectile, and Tantalus took all these enemies out, no problem. Just gonna kind of, not manipulate, but just go into specific tiles to take out these blobs in the right pattern. And this is basically just hoping that the blobs behave and act nice. And I feel like they're going okay. That wasn't too bad. These Rockies will basically just split into a number of projectiles when you kill them. Just gotta be careful. It took a hit there, but that's okay. It's not too much damage. There's tons of hearts in this level, so it's not too much to worry about. This room, again, you can slip off this platform. There is like a crazy void walk here, which saves like 6 seconds, but is incredibly hard to do, so nobody does it. RTA.
Yeah, nobody's finished a run with it in there. Polka has done it RTA, but it's hard. It's not something even he goes for very often.
It ain't marathon safe. So these Golden Knights are the worst versions of those Silver Knights, and they are, again, like Dark Nuts, similar to that ghost we fought earlier. You can only kill them, you can only attack them and hit them from behind or from the side, and they move very erratically. They'll advance towards you, and then as soon as you move, then they start turn, and they can be very annoying time sink enemies. So hopefully they act nicely, because they are a huge reason for gaining time in this chapter.
Got a wall push there.
Okay. Yep, got a wall push by jumping. Basically, you jump so that the corner of that heightened ledge pushes you over a little bit and saves you a couple frames. Yeah, this is exactly what I need. This gold. There we go. Gold jerk. We're going to encounter those only a couple more times. Luckily, there's only a few rooms with the Golden Knights, but yeah, they are definitely a huge reason for losing time here. Focus on this guy. Ugh. I hate them. Then we're going to do this double blob room. This is the room right before the boss. There is a medicine there. I don't know if it's made or not. I feel like they're in pretty good shape. But it is right there, so I don't know. Just kind of have to hope these blobs behave. And you always know they're going to jump diagonally, and they'll always jump away from the wall if they're near a wall, so that's kind of how you can predict it. This dragon, when he's nice, he'll just walk towards you and look menacing, but when he's not nice, he'll blow flames at you like mad, like this. And you can only hit him in the face, so you have to actually jump and attack him, unless he's leaning down to shoot fire, and then you can just shoot him straight on. But the fire also blocks attacks, so it's kind of tricky. But that went really smooth. Oh yeah, and there's spikes filling up the room, but the spikes very rarely get to any sort of threatening level. So, yeah, the dragon can also fly around the room and launch a bunch of fireballs at you, but he didn't get the chance. So, because Tantalus is a boss, we wasted him too quick.
It was good. It wasn't picture perfect, but it was acceptable. The blobs are just so slow. They're always so all over the place.
Yeah. Just gotta hope that they line up, but that's the way it goes.
Okay, so we get to do our coolest skips in Chapter 9. So, we are not going to fight the final boss of this game. That is the new development that hasn't really been done in a marathon before. Only 2 people even have posted runs with that skip in it. So, and we're 2 seconds apart from each other. So,
I think 3 now. I think Terex did it in his recent run.
Oh, you're right. Terex did do it. Terex did do it. So, and he's approaching 3rd place on the leaderboard now too. You're right. So, yeah, only 3 people have done it in a run. It's not terribly hard to do though. That's the good thing about it. So it should be relatively consistent. This isn't as risky as like the pond skip or the boulder boss skip. It's a bit more challenging in those skips. This one is pretty easy to set up. But there's 2 skips. We're gonna skip an old friend, and then we're gonna skip the final boss. So I'll let Bug Doctor take it from here.
Make sure you talk to that guy from the left.
Yep,
let's say that.
Step 1. This is very
so you return
important.
to the island. This is the first area of StarTropics 1, and we find that all the villagers have been turned into pigs. So we actually get to replay some parts of the very first dungeon. There are a few rooms missing, but overall it's pretty similar. A couple small changes, but that's about it. And a really, really good remix of the original dungeon as well. Only got to kill 1 blob in this 6 blob room. In the original game, you got to kill all 6, so that's kind of a nice change. And something... Oh man, Brad wants to walk with you. Something I forgot to mention is when you jump, if you hold the jump button, you do a higher jump. If you just tap, you do a short hop, which short hops put you on the ground faster and you move faster when you're walking. So Tantalus was short hopping along those blocks there. Pretty it's basically like a shorter version of StarTropics 1 dungeon. Nice, just walking by that snake. That's good. And we're going to run into Sea Serpent here, but we're going to set up a void walk for him. So, which is kind of funny because that means that with respect to speedruns, you don't fight Sea Serpent at all in either game. Good job. Good stuff. So there you go. You just take the first hit. You don't even have to pause or anything. You just take damage from the first column of flame and then also one of the side projectiles. It just sets up perfectly. It'll always fire the same way when you go up in that corner. Sea Serpent survives both games, which is funny.
Yeah, we've literally never fought him.
Yeah.
And he's
then we
even as an undead, we can't fight him.
Yeah, exactly. Just leave him there. He's like, aw. Then we got a boss rush here, and you're gonna notice that Yum Yum here is actually doing something. So in the first, in the second chapter, I forgot to mention, if you kill that pig that Yum Yum is eating, he will go berserk and become basically one of the hardest bosses in the game. So that's how he's acting there. It's actually normal behavior, but he just doesn't have a biggie. You're just going to blast the scorpion because you're kind of safe from his spread shot when you just stand completely still, which is awesome. The Monster Mask refight, it's a little bit faster and fires some more projectiles, I believe, once it turns red, but it's just sitting there. It's just sitting there, man, and taking the damage, so it's dead. We're going to refight Zoda X, and if we're lucky, we'll get a one cycle with a 3-way shot here. It's kind of tricky. You can sort of shotgun. Oh, that fire. Yeah, the fire helps do it there. So 3-way shot you can shotgun enemies with. And you can only fire them as long as as fast as the projectiles are gone. So having that blue flame column appear there, block projectiles, and actually let Tantalus shoot faster, which is awesome. Man, good mashing minor fight, completely dodge everything. And then this is our refight with Zoda Y, and this is where we're going to do the next, the final Void Walk and huge skip, if all goes well.
Close to cycle, actually.
So I'll let Tantalus focus here. He's going to set it up by just hitting those spikes. And we're actually going to jump over and spend some time with Zoda, just hang out with him. Kill him over here, which we luckily have a lot of time to do. And interestingly, he does he only does 1 heart of damage if you touch him. He does no damage from direct contact, so that's pretty nice. So we're going to hold left here, which will drop us through the floor onto the wall of the dragon fight, and then we're just going to exit. There's an exit tile there. So that's it. That's the boss rush.
We got a sub-hour, Bug.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good stuff.
That's incredible.
Absolutely incredible. Oh, and we're not going to talk to Mika. You can just ignore her, and then you can take all the villagers with you in this weird glitch. Yeah, this was an incredibly smooth run. Good stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't PB, so I knew I could get Micah, but it's this is going to be time
59:44.
Yeah. My numlock didn't work, but it's 59:43.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, the timer's not stopping. I can't get it to stop.
It was like a 59:43 or 44 or something like that. Yeah, so you basically skip the dragon and you skip Zoda Z, the final boss of the game. And just so you know, there's photosensitivity warning here for the ending as well. So please keep that in mind. When these tetrads get joined, you're going to see some flashing. But yeah, this was an incredibly smooth run. That was super impressive.
That was 4 seconds off my PB.
Yeah,
that was absolutely the best run I've done ever. That's my second best run of all time. So to do it here on the marathon without doing some of the skips is actually insane. So I'm very proud of that. That was really good. So I could
photosensitivity right here when this flower joins up and a little bit more. So just keep that. Sorry, go ahead.
So while we're ending the credits here, thank you, Bug Doctor, for keeping me square. That was very good. Very great commentary. Appreciate it. But you also kept me in check and motivated, so I appreciate that.
No problem at all. This is awesome.
Thank you all, Retrothon, for having me in the marathon, as well as especially the Nest Day. Always love to see that. Another light here, and then the credits roll. So